Yeah, yeah. Too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad, too bad. She got me thinking that she.
Hello. What would live chat be without? Hello. Okay. Let's get this started. I'm getting all emotional about this episode because it is the last episode of the BeatHunter Dance Talk Show Season 1. Which means we're not just I've officially not just done a bunch of different live streams with the themes around them. I've officially created a season. So, I mean, starting from using my GoPro as the camera and then finding out that the software itself wasn't really sufficient. So it was all glitching, and then went to like a tablet for the very first official episode about choreography, and then going to a computer and then updating my computer, like getting a new computer basically for editing reasons, but also for the live stream, which has a better camera. So now it's a better camera. And then I got a mic first, and then I got it was a whole deal. So I hope you have gotten something from at least one of the episodes. You've shared it with somebody, because I, as an educator, as a mobile dance educator, have grown so much from this first season, which means we're only going up from here, right? So any creative ideas or any different things or any different ways I can do the talk show, or other people I can interview, or different topics, or combining different scenarios, and it's open game, right? It's open game. It's an open field. The possibilities are endless. Insert cliche phrase here, right? So I'm super excited. Emotional, that's going to come to an end, but I'm going to be posting every Friday. I'll say this at the end too, but I'm posting every Friday starting in May, just next weekend. Not this Friday, but next Friday. I'll be posting every Friday, all of season 1 onto YouTube and Instagram and my website. So if you have friends, or at least one, acquaintances, coworkers, share them that link. Share with them that link. What else? That's it. I really want to jump into this one really quickly because it's kind of long, but it has so much depth to it. My name is Joel Casanova. If we've not been formally acquainted, hello. I am a mobile dance educator, which means I take dance education to you. Either we meet up somewhere, I go to you, you come to me, we go online. Dance is borderless because it's meant for bodies and not for buildings. So you shouldn't have to go to a facility to get dance training, and you shouldn't have to scour the world to find quality training. I give you quality training in order to be yourself so that you can use dance for what you want to use it for. And that can happen anywhere and everywhere. Super side note, I once we have to visit my family in Puerto Rico. My extended family is in Puerto Rico. And I still had a lesson with a student, but he was online. And so I actually left. I had a lesson with him Thursday. We left, went to Puerto Rico. I had the same lesson with him that same Thursday at the exact same time, but I was in Puerto Rico, like on my balcony, teaching him, whatever we were teaching. I was teaching him that day. He was a beginner, so he was getting into basics and learning to control his body, which is super cool. So if you're ever wanting to get lessons, hit me up. I'm going to show you a conversation I had this past weekend with Angela Brown, a dear friend of mine. I have the privilege of calling her that. I worked with her on competition in studios, different performances that she directed. Sent her dancers to audition for different things because she is an auditioner and choreographer for Busch Gardens, which is a theme park here in Virginia, if you didn't know. Williamsburg specifically. She has had an extensive career. Started in Virginia, went to New York, local theater, Broadway, LA, commercial work, came back, is now a choreographer. It's a whole journey. But everywhere she went, she took herself, which is what you'll see in this conversation. So let's jump into that super, super quickly and enjoy. Hey guys, welcome back. This is my friend Angela, amazing choreographer. She has been on Broadway, she's been in California, she has taught in studios, and she has a lot of wisdom and a lot of things that she can bring to the conversation. And I have the personal privilege of being her friend and knowing her in that way. So we've worked together for competitions and stuff like that. It's been fun. It's been very fun. So I wanted to know if you could give us, just straight out the gate, if you could give us like an overview of your dance career, just so people can know, where it started, where it ended, I mean, you're still going, but where the different pathways that you've gone through, just an idea. Yeah.
Of course, yeah. So I think professionally, I'll just start there. I started at 18 performing in theme parks. So my first professional job was at Kings Dominion theme park in Virginia. And then I went from there to Busch Gardens. And then while in theme parks, I started auditioning for shows in New York City. And so after that, I landed my first national tour. And so I did the first national tour of 42nd Street. And that's actually like I got my equity card, which is a union card for performers. So that was pretty cool. I did the tour for a while, and then again, you audition for other shows. And so I did some regional theater. I did like a AIDA in Florida. And after that, I got my big Broadway debut, which I was really excited about. And I was working towards that. And that was with Mamma Mia on Broadway. And so I did that for a while. And then I just wanted to try something different. And so I was auditioning for the show Wicked, the musical. And so I auditioned for Wicked, and I was cast in the Los Angeles cast for that show. And so that took me across the country. And so I spent about 7 years in Los Angeles, dabbled into some like TV world, which is different out there. And then it brought me back to Virginia. I started teaching. And so I started teaching more and more dance and musical theater and choreographing. So I always say it's like a 360 circle experience for me, because I came back to theme park. So now I'm choreographing directing shows at a theme park, which is really cool because it's the same park that I used to work.
360.
So yeah, 360 for sure. So that was cool how that worked out. So that's a general overview.
Yeah. I didn't know you did Mamma Mia at first. I thought you went straight to Wicked. I think it's so telling how you can just go from one thing to the next, and which I actually want to pick your brain about, because when it comes to musical theater, because this month is about inspiration, right? Inspiration from others. So I want to know, was there someone who specifically inspired you to go into musical theater, or was it like some event that was, kind of captured you, or what?
So, yeah, so there was an event that happened when I was in middle school. There was a performing arts group in the city of Norfolk. I'm from Norfolk, Virginia, in the city of Norfolk, who performed for other students. So my school got a chance to see them perform. And so when I saw them, they were doing a production of Once on This Island, which is I don't know if you're familiar, but it's very Caribbean, and it's just a really vibrant and fun show. All I could think about when I was that age, I was in 8th grade, I was watching them and I was just like, I could do that. I want to do that. I was on the edge of my seat. I was like, I could do this. And I didn't have that feeling before that. And so then that year I auditioned to get into that program. I got in. So I was like, wait, this is this is coming together, you know, like this may be for me. And I didn't know that much about musical theater. All I knew was I guess the feeling gave me when I watched it, and I just kind of knew there was a potential inside of me to do it. So it wasn't really like just one person that inspired me to get into musical theater. I think that program as a whole, because I was able to go, you know, sort of like a governor's school or for the arts, or I was able to go to my home school, like my regular school, take subjects, and then leave and do performing arts all day. So for me, that was a huge blessing. And that's when I discovered the whole world of musical theater. So we would do plays. We will, the same group I saw in 8th grade, I was now on stage performing for all of the students of Norfolk Public Schools. So that was that moment happening. I had a teacher, Connie Highmarsh, who was she was a well-known children's actor, and she was our director. And also from, do you know Gary Spell? He actually sometimes does the performing arts at Regent. So Gary was my music director. So I had really great teachers in high school, and they inspired me when it came to encouraging all of us that we can go to rock, like we can be there. And we were all the program was free. We didn't pay classes. You know, we were all coming from different backgrounds, and you know, some of us came from different classes, you know, lower, middle class. And I think it inspired me because at that moment we had someone to tell us we could do that, we could be there too. And you know, like I would be like, even as African American, I was like, okay, like I saw myself on Broadway. Like when I saw the high school, there was a lot of, you know, me up there. It was different colors, but I'm just saying, for me, coming from my environment, to see that was like, oh, okay, I can do this too. It's not unattainable. I can actually work hard at it, keep going, and it's going to be achievable. So I hope that answers your question about.
Absolutely. No, absolutely. Because it's incredible how, like, the beginning, like that moldable period that you were in, really shaped you, because it wasn't that you just saw something that was like, oh, those people are amazing, I love theater now. Mm-hmm. It was like, I get in, and those people who are teaching the people that I saw are like, yeah, you can do this.
Yeah.
You know, so like they inspired you to like, oh, to keep going. Like the inspiration that we're talking about this whole month has been like, you see something or you hear someone say something, and that inspires something inside of you to do something new. And it's like, it wasn't about them saying, I'm going to go to Broadway, you stay here. It was like, yeah, you can go to Broadway. If that's what you want, you can do that. You know? Yeah. And no, were you going to say?
I'm just saying, you know, it's just bringing us along with the journey, like teaching us, passing it along, all of the knowledge they had. I think that's why I enjoy teaching so much, because I want to pass it along. I would love for my students, even if they don't want to go to Broadway, to just appreciate it. And like that's inside of me as well, like that teaching, pass it along, pay it forward, you know, because I had that, and I want to be that for someone else. So
yeah. So as your tour brought you basically you said you can be on Broadway if you want, and so you did. Basically,
it took a lot of work. There was a lot of work in between.
I know. Yeah. I'm very sure.
Yeah.
The inspiration that he gave you from the beginning,
yes,
like, you know, carried along, and then eventually it's not like you can be on Broadway if you want. And someone's like, yeah, but it's like, no, I was on Broadway, I did, you know. And so then they took you to LA, and so you said you also did commercial work. So yeah. With musical theater versus commercial work, you mentioned that it was very different. And so, like, in musical theater, you're playing a character, and so you have to get that different kind of inspiration to, you know, be that character on stage. So what is the difference of the inspiration you need for musical theater versus commercial work, like stage versus video, I guess you could say?
So for stage is heavy on the storytelling. Again, character. That's when acting comes along. So it's not just dancing, it's acting with that. It's also singing these songs. So the storytelling is like the number one thing in musical theater. It's not about I guess, versus commercial. It's not about like how I hit these moves. And yes, you want to do it with excellence, but overall, the story takes the precedent for that. So in musical theater, you become like, you take the journey of the story. So the process and how you relate to other characters. As soon as you walk on stage, it's a different dynamic where you're in character. You are acting the whole time. Even on the dance breaks, you're in that story. So for in Wicked, we walk on stage, automatically have that feel some type of way with like Elphaba. Or I don't know if you guys know the story. So you walk on stage and you see Elphaba and you have to be a character. Or if you see, you see Belinda, and you right away, all of that ties together for musical theater or stage. I prefer stage. The other, like, my favorite thing about stage is the live audience. So that energy is just, there's no comparison to the energy because there's an exchange that happens. And so I think really wonderful experiences happen with the audience and how they respond and how you're connecting with the material and how they connect to it. Because if you're connecting to the story or the music or the songs, the audience is going to feel that when you're connecting. So I don't know if I'm going off track, but
this is
like if you are in the, like you're in it, you know how we say like, oh, just live, like go, live. In musical theater, you need to be invested in the story. You need to be there the whole time because that's what's going to connect to the audience. So if you're not invested as a performer, it's not going to really reach the audience like it can. But commercial dancing, that's more, okay, so the commercial dancing I did, I did some spots on Victorious on Nickelodeon. Or for like a music video for Ariana Grande. I did her first music video. It was her first one. She was only 16, and it was interesting.
I'm not gonna This is not me fangirling. I'm just here talking to you.
Yeah, that was so that I see that world as commercial.
Yeah.
Or if I did when I first went to LA, I booked this Little Caesars commercial, and it was to hold like one of those signs, those $5 signs, and I just had to improv with the sign, and they were like, great, But I see that as commercial world, like dancing for an artist or music video or on anything I think that's like TV film. But these days, you can do musical theater on film as well, because now they have a lot of live musical theater events that come on television. But when it comes down to it, I prefer musical theater in front of a live audience.
Yeah.
But I think what's challenging with commercial is we're on the camera and you perform, you do your thing, and then it's just like it's cricket. So when you're doing it, you have to make sure that you're like comfortable with yourself when it comes to, because you're not going to get that applause, you're not going to get that feedback. Sometimes they're not, the production people are not going to go, oh yeah, you know that was wonderful. They're just going to kind of take what you do and then move on. But you have to know that, okay, I did my best. I threw down whatever you're doing. I did it with excellence, and so you don't get a lot of accolades, I guess, on commercial work, unless you're on tour, like with Justin Bieber. I don't know.
Yeah.
On tour with a major artist, and you get the crowd as all.
Yeah, the audience.
Yeah, I've never been on a tour like that, but that's how I see commercial work. I don't know if that answered your question.
Yeah, so where did you have to, that's a great background for both. And so I think that's valuable information. And for you personally, like where did you have to put yourself to be in both of those places? Like the first one was you have to be invested in the story. And when you're feeling the story, the audience feels the story. They can tell. And then the other one is you need to be able to put yourself out there and know that, you know, I did a good thing, regardless of whether there's a live audience that's applauding me for what I just did. So like, how did you inspire yourself or get inspiration, or like get yourself to the mental place, spiritual place, physical place,
Yeah.
you know, to do those two things?
Well, I take a similar approach to musical theater that I do with commercial work. For example, so if I was on the set of Victorious, the scene was we were in high school and we're just like, you know, there's a script, so that helps. So you're still storytelling. But I'm like, I choose to take that same approach as though if I were gonna walk out from the wings onto the stage. I take the same approach. It's a little more subtle on TV commercial world. But I do have to go, like, for me, I like pray to center myself, you know. I usually, especially for auditions, I have to like, because I get a little, sometimes I get nervous. I get nervous at auditions. Just have to
Are you saying then or like still now?
I think slightly. I always have to kind of like center myself, and I have to isolate from. I have to take a moment with myself and just kind of connect with, okay, what am I doing here? Like, okay, am I dancing? I'm in the video. I'm in a like Ariana Grande video. I'm mentally preparing. I'm in the scene still, but it's more presentational. But I'm also making sure, okay, I'm being Angela in this. I'm not actually a character. I don't know if this makes sense, but I need to be myself and just let, like, whatever God implanted in me, I let that shine. So sometimes in commercial world, you're yourself. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
Like, you're not really a character. So you're Joa or you're Angela. And so I let that light shine. Same thing in musical theater, but I may be Angela playing a student in the show or dancer, Mamma Mia, but you know, I have a name, a character, where they're from, backstory. Commercially, I think it's more just, okay, let me go in there and do my thing.
And so correct me if I'm wrong, but what you're saying is you center yourself in order to bring yourself into those things.
Yes.
Wow.
Yes, I think that's important because that's what people look for. Not like just people, but casting directors. I've heard them say they just want real people. Because some people go in and they're like, I'm acting or I'm this. And sometimes they just want real people, organic people that are just, you know, you see a commercial, you do a commercial, you're not going to believe someone is like, I use Tide, you know, like I use this. And they're all like, acting it out, but they're just like, oh yeah, I use Tide and wash, you know, and just a real person that people can relate to. But that's if you're selling a product. But I think that approach is important.
It is. It is.
But yeah,
wow.
And you can bring yourself, which I've learned, you can bring yourself to a character as well. So if I'm playing, say I'm playing, I'm playing Glenda in the show, and I can relate, and I can say, okay, what is it in Angela that relates to the part of Glenda? And if I personalize it for me, if I connect to it somehow, it's going to resonate to everybody else. So it's going to feel organic. It's not going to feel so phony and fake. That's why you get a lot of great actors who can really like, wow, I felt that, you know. You see those wonderful actors and you like, wow, how did they do that? They learn how to personally connect to that character. Not necessarily mean that they're I'll explain it. Like if they're playing an evil character, they're not gonna go out and like I'm gonna rob a bank to see what it feels like. No. But if they connect to it some way, like what is the motivation behind it? Are they desperate? You know, like, because human emotions too. It's like human emotions is universal. So you're going to connect to it somehow, even though you may behave differently with that emotion. Like you're angry, you're not going to, do something to harm someone, but everybody has been angry and everybody's been felt some sort of joy. So you can bring those human experiences to a role or to a dance. Like even if it's a non-speaking role and you're just dancing, like that emotion also helps. I'm all off track. I got emotions.
Yeah, it's so important to bring yourself into the things that you do, and I think the fact that you did that, regardless of where you were, like that's the constant. Because I guess you're the constant, Like Angela's always been doing these things, so obviously Angela should be bringing Angela, and it's like that's something I feel like that's something that's not highlighted as much as it should. So thank you.
You're welcome. Yes.
You went full circle,
Yeah.
right? So you ended up at the same studio park, right? You ended up in the same area. When it comes to inspiration, instead of dividing musical theater or stage from commercial and film, like what do you need as a choreographer or instructor versus a performer when it comes to inspiration? Like what inspires you to do those things and keep yourself, I suppose, in those areas?
I think for both of those, performing and like choreography and teaching, I need to be, for me personally, needs to motivate me some sort of way. Like I need to feel passionate about it. So for example, as a performer, if there's a script that I read or a show that I'm considering and I'm not really connecting with that show or script, and or if I don't think it's certain types of styles, or I don't think it's appropriate for me, then I just won't do it. But if it speaks to me and I'm like, okay, I can see this happening, then as a performer, I would just kind of like just dig in, get into the material, read the script, learn about the show, the music. Those all give me inspiration. And as a performer, so it depends. So like if I'm performing in a show that's already been set, so for example, if I went into a show that's already there, like I did Lion King, it's already been produced, versus a show that's being created, I would take a different approach. For Lion King, it's more like, say if I was going in for that, it would be a little more research for me as an actor, because it's already set and they have a set way of doing it. But for something creative, something that's being made, it's exciting as a performer because you get to create what you're gonna do. You are the person who's gonna create that role. It also requires a high level of flexibility. Working like with the director and everything, you need to be flexible and be open to the process of being creative. As a performer, I mean, to stay inspired, I just need to really, again, it goes back to if I feel connected to, like, nowadays, like when I was younger, I think I would like audition for everything just because I was like, let me just see how it goes. I just audition every show. But now I'm a little bit more selective, not because I'm like, oh, I got it like that. It's just, I realize that not every show is going to be for me, and that's okay. And so it's important that I do something that creates purpose for me. So I'm really big on right now in my life that if I choose a show as a performer, it has to have some purpose where I think it's going to leave the audience with something positive, something they can take with them, something they can learn from or grow from or experience. So I'm a little selective, but as a choreographer, it's another.
Yeah.
I draw a lot of inspiration from the dancers that I work with. So as a choreographer, especially creating something new, it's like, it's exciting because you see the dancers and they're doing all this, and I'm like, oh yeah. And I like to highlight their strength. And so I try to bring it all together. I actually really enjoy working with people who aren't really like dancers. For
Explain.
example,
No, yeah, explain, yeah.
for example, like, so say I work with like, sometimes I work with singers or actors that don't move that well. I really actually enjoy working with them and seeing they're able to have a more organic pedestrian approach to it. And I think sometimes it works. It's challenging, but I like to see that growth with them. My point is, the dancers, the performers inspire me as a choreographer, as well as the music. Is of course, if I say I'm setting a piece, I need to connect to the music first, or I won't be in it. You know, it just wouldn't fit. There are some instances where I'm asked to choreograph something more commercial, like okay, so there are different styles, but I helped choreograph a German show at Assurance. Yeah, so I'm not German, but I have found connection with the style of dance. There's a lot of rhythm. There's a lot of like beats and partnering that I enjoy, and the liveliness of the music, like even polka music. Like I can actually connect with that music. I don't know, because it brings joy. It brings joy. It's like it's very. For me, it's like I need to feel the music. I need to feel it. And so at first I was like, German show. What am I gonna do? What am I gonna do? But I found the things that I connected to and made it enjoyable. So it kept me inspired to be choreographing that style of dancing. And also, I mean, I learned about it as well in the process. So I think I'm always, I think it's important to remain teachable as a choreographer and a performer, and to be always growing. So
Yeah. And I feel like that even corroborates what you said earlier, that like the human experience is universal.
Mhm.
You know, that it's like polka music, but like that's like the most stereotypical thing to not understand, you know? But you're like, oh, this brings joy to me. I know what it's like, you know, and that's beautiful.
And it connects to the audience. So even people who come to the park may not be like, oh, I really love this German show. But when they start watching it, they're like having a good time. And it's like, yay, bringing the families together. So that's I really enjoy that part too.
Yeah. Would you, I feel like you've given so much already. So
Oh, okay, yeah, I'm talking to
no, I hate to ask more. Right? But you, like, this is so much in a conversation that is so valuable. So thank you, first of all. But directly to, like, this is for my community, right? This is for other people that I'm trying to feature who you are and your experiences and, you know, the things that you've had. So to ask one more thing, if you would allow me to, what would you tell a younger dancer or a younger performer or a younger inspiring choreographer? What would you tell them as they're starting, or as just being young in general, how they can keep inspiration with them so that they can have a longevity in their career like you've had?
Yes. Oh, hello?
Yeah, you're good.
Oh, yeah, I got a call, but hopefully they don't call back. Okay, can you cut that out? Okay.
No, we're good.
Oh, okay. So I would say to a young dancer who, how can they stay inspired for longevity? And that's something I had to discover as well. I'm still discovering, like, how do I see it as almost staying motivated as well. I always go back for myself. I go back to remembering what it felt like when I'm dancing. I really enjoyed it. I wasn't getting paid for it. I wasn't hired to do it. I was just enjoying it. Like just dancing, even if it was just dancing around my room or just like in class with my friends. And then how I felt when I saw, like when I first saw that show on stage, you know, I was having that experience. I was living my life, like just enjoying it. I would go, like, if you ever feel stuck or, you know, I don't know what I'm doing, or this is challenging, this is hard, like, try to go back to the way your art form made you feel. So if you're a dancer or you're a choreographer, why did you start in the first place, you know? So sometimes you need reminders. For me, I need reminders. I need to be like, oh, okay, this is why I enjoy this. Especially as a teacher and you're going into class week after week, sometimes you might get tired, but then you see your student and they get something and you're like, oh, yes, that's why I'm doing this. Yes. And those moments, and that's gonna be different for everyone, but even when things get tough, just keep creating, and not everybody's gonna like it. Not everybody's gonna be pleased by it. You just have to do it. If you like to do it, you know, you create, you choreograph, keep dancing. I mean, take classes, take from different types of teachers. I took all sorts, like, I learned German dance, I took hip hop, I love ballet class. You know, I took from different teachers. I would take an African class. All those days kept me inspired. And I think learning new concepts and new ideas for me helped keep me inspired. Yeah. What I wanted to say is this was what I'm kind of saying for something now, is that this is really big for me. Your art, your dance, your choreography, there is somebody out here in this world that's waiting to see it. It's not just for us, which I'm learning. Because sometimes I'll do something and I want to keep it to myself. Or I'm afraid of what somebody else is going to say about it. It's me. We have these gifts so we can share it with others. Someone may be blessed by it. Someone may be inspired. Just like I saw the show, I was inspired. They weren't doing it, you know, I would have taken a different direction. I feel like as an artist, as a dancer, choreographer, and you have that gift, as a young performer, even if you have that passion, I feel there's a responsibility with that, to use that gift in a way that you can't, like, you may or may not dance with, you know, the biggest pop star, or you may not make it to Broadway, but there is a purpose. There's a purpose for that. That's not to say that is the ultimate. Like, I used to think that, oh, I need to do, you know, to be at the top of my game or something. And that's not true. So there are moments where I felt at the top of my game and I wasn't even in a show at that moment. It was just, I just felt so creative. And,
Wow.
So I think overall, just remember that, you know, we only have one life, you know, you gotta live it out. Just keep going and just, yeah, keep going. I tell myself that too. So I need reminders. Yeah.
Yeah, we all do. and that is so unheard of. So thank you for your unique opinion to this. No, it's also very validating. when I say certain things, I'm like, is that true? You know, then you live this experience that I'm like, wow, like, no, this is so true. You know, and it's thank you for reminding us, you know, not just me, but anyone else who watches this, that we are at the center of our journey. So, like, bring yourself and remember what it was like when you first started the journey, like what triggered it, you know, like that is, it's so frustrating when people make that cliche.
I see.
because it's so valuable.
Mhm.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Yeah, thank you. I can say thank you for like the next like 20 minutes, but I gotta stop here. Thank you so much for what.
Great questions. Yeah.
No, yeah, I thank you for your story and for being willing to share your story. Not everyone is. So thank you. Yeah, have a great night. And
Okay.
for jumping on. I appreciate it.
Okay, Joel.
You are at the center of your art. And like Angela said, there's someone else who needs to see your dancing and your art. You know, someone else needs to see what it is you have to bring to the table and what else you have to say through your dancing. So don't forget that. Hopefully there's so much in there that anyone could pull out, regardless of whether you want to do commercial or film or musical theater or anything. Hopefully that inspired you to finish off the month and finish off the season. And again, I'll be posting all the previous videos every Friday, starting not this Friday, but next Friday, May 6th, first Friday of May, all the way through July. And then we'll start season 2. So if there's any people that you have in mind that I should interview or anything, hit me up and let me know who they are. And then I'm super excited to see where the show takes next. So if you've watched, if you've shown anyone else, if you've gotten anything from it, thank you so much for taking the time to watch this. And this is officially the end of season 1. Have a great night.